Hi there and welcome to another vlog session of mine. So today I want to talk about something that's incredibly important to the issue of sustainability. It is food. So I had a particular interest in food because my 2016 resolution to become a flexitarian. So most of the time I am a vegetarian, but twice a week I consume meat, and I've been doing that for a month. So the first thing I want to take a look at is the different types of diets and how that affects the environment. As we all know, agriculture has a huge impact on the environment. Just for livestock farming itself, it constitutes 20% of the total GHG emissions. It doesn't just release carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, it releases nitrous oxide, which is 300 times more damaging to the environment compared to carbon dioxide. And it also releases methane, which is 25 times the global warming impact of carbon dioxide. Apparently, one cow can emit 500 liters of methane a day. I'd just like to show you a breakdown of carbon emissions by food types and by diets. As you can see, the vegetarian's footprint is about 2/3 of the average American diet, and it is about half of that of a meat lover. And I don't know if you've noticed, but in the second image, there's a huge difference between the consumption of a meat lover and people who do not consume beef. So the footprint of a meat lover is about 3.3, and if you just consume chicken or other meat products, just cutting out on beef, it drops down to 1.9 for your footprint. The footprint of meat is way higher than that of vegetables because there's a lot more going into livestock farming. You need to manage their manure, you need enteric fermentation for sheep, for cows, you need lands to be cleared for the growing of the crops. To feed these animals, you need fossil fuels to transport these animals, and you need fossil fuels as energy to produce animal feed. So that's a pretty logical argument as to why you should become a vegetarian or a vegan, right? I actually know a couple of people who are trying to cut down their meat and their dairy consumption, and that's good for them, and they're trying to switch into vegetarian or vegan products. However, not all vegetarian or vegan products mean that they're low in footprint. An example of that would be almonds. In North America, we are consuming almonds like never before. In fact, we're consuming more almonds than we are with peanuts. So this almond trend has started because of the popularization of almond milk. And these people who advertised almond milk, they were incredibly smart because they're saying that, oh, it's a great non-dairy alternative compared to milk. It provides as much protein and has so many other health benefits. However, consuming almonds is not environmentally friendly because each almond requires 1.1 gallons of water to produce it, and 82% of almonds are produced in California. Now, I don't know if you know much about California, but California has a huge water supply issue. They have droughts as well. And it's funny because there are 44% more land that are used to farm almonds compared to 10 years ago. So that's just one of the few examples of plants that have high footprint. There are other plants that you could look into, such as lettuce, eggplants, and cucumbers. Apparently, they require more resources compared to chicken and pork, so they're actually worse than chicken and pork. With that being said, being a vegetarian or being a vegan is definitely going to help with the GHG emissions. We just need to be more aware as to which plants have a higher footprint and which ones don't. So the second most important aspect of food and sustainability is definitely food transportation. So food transportation accounts for 11% of the food's total GHG emissions. So a way to cut that down is to shop locally, go to your local farmer's market. And I don't know about here in Australia, but in North America, we do have a couple, but there aren't that many because a lot of people go to supermarkets. And I definitely think that we should look more to Europe and to Asia for this because it's a very different experience when you go to a local farmer's market, and it's an incredibly pleasant experience because when you go to a supermarket, it's a very commercialized experience. You're walking through these aisles and you're bombarded with different packaging, branding, and messaging. But when you go to a local market, it's totally different. You're just looking foods as the way they are, which are raw, wholesome, and fresh. There are so many benefits as to shopping at your local farmers market. You're helping the local farmers out, you're building better community relations, you're cutting down food safety risks because long distance foods, they can have many contamination points throughout the journey, and the list just goes on. And we should definitely support local farmers market because it's a win-win situation for us. Another way to tackle the food transportation emissions is to take things into your own hands and to grow your own garden. So just in America alone, from 2008 to 2013, there has been an increase in home gardens from 4 million to 37 million. Well, community gardens, they've grown from 1 million to 3 million, a 200% increase. And some of the perks for that is that it's good for your health, it's good for the environment, and most importantly, you know how your foods are being produced. So when we're shopping at a local farmers market or when we're growing our own foods, we're basically relying less on the grocery stores. And that's a good thing because in the United States, every single year, 1/3 of all the foods that are being produced, they're being thrown away. And that amounts to 133 billion pounds of food. And these grocery stores, they contribute to that 10% of all the foods that's been tossed away. Foods get thrown away because of overstocked product displays, because of expiry dates, because of cosmetic perfection, and because of damaged goods and unpopular items. So I was just listening to a podcast the other day, and I thought that most countries, if not every country, should follow France's example. So France became the first country to impose a ban on supermarkets from destroying or discarding unsold foods. If they do want to get rid of these foods, they're forced to donate it to charities or to food banks. And if they don't do so, they're going to be imposed a fine. And I think this is such a wonderful idea. It's a wonderful way to manage food wastage, and it's going to people who are in need. And I love how France say that this is just the beginning of the battle. They're planning to cut and to eliminate food wastage in restaurants, in bakeries, in school canteens, and many more. Another aspect of food that could impact the environment and sustainability is whether the food is organic or not. So organic foods are great because most of the time they do have lower carbon footprint. That's because they have better agricultural practices, they're more environmentally friendly, they use less toxic chemicals and pesticides. So that's not only good for the environment, but it's good for us as well, for our health. It's really sad to see that in North America and here in Australia that organic and non-GMO foods aren't the norm. They're definitely available, but people have to pay 2 to 3 times the average price for it. And it definitely promotes inequality right there. We could definitely learn a lot from Europe because they're the leader in this area. Europe is the largest and the most sophisticated organic food and beverage market in the world. In fact, they've imposed a ban on GMO products, so everything there is non-GMO and most of their stuff are organic. And this is widely available everywhere in supermarkets, drugstores, and discount stores. Governments need to realize that it's good for the environment in the long run and it's good for the health of the citizens in the long run as well. So overall, food definitely has a huge impact on the environment. I personally feel that this is the one domain where we have the most power to make a huge and a positive impact on the environment, because you could just take small and simple steps such as cutting out beef out of your diet and you're still making a difference. I felt that my last 2 vlogs, they were definitely a bit of a downer. I didn't feel that people were changing their consumption habits, and I don't feel like there was going to be a change coming about anytime soon. Whereas for the food movement, I do see it coming, and I'm definitely seeing people being more aware about it, and I'm glad that more and more people are making a positive difference. So I hope that you enjoyed this vlog, and I will see you the next round.